Recently, Bungie invited us to a digital preview event for Lightfall, the latest Destiny expansion that's almost upon us. We got a chance to see a live demo of an early story campaign mission, a tour of the new destination, Neomuna, and a look at some of the much requested features like the mod manager menu, loadout creator, and guardian ranks system. And in this video, we're going to talk about the interesting and important details we took away. I would also like to note the footage that you are seeing is B-roll, provided by Bungie. It is not the same as the demo we saw, so apologies if what I'm talking about and what you're seeing don't match up. That's just how it goes. Let's start with Lightfall's newest destination, the neon-soaked city of Neomuna. We've never had an urban city environment before that you can freely roam around and explore, the closest being the first encounter in the Scourge of the Past raid. Typically everything in the universe of Destiny is abandoned or destroyed. Getting to see a living, breathing city that has just come under fire is a new feeling for Destiny and raises the stakes. And yeah, the look does rule. Bungie is really leaning into the 80s future city aesthetic, complete with holographic palm trees. They even mentioned that one of the lost sectors is an arcade, which is just perfect. Bungie told us to expect Neomuna to be comparable in size to Europa and Savathun's throne world, following the same 3-bubble loop these destinations have. I'm not necessarily going to go through and describe every little bit of Neomuna we saw. You'll get to experience it for yourself on the 28th. Also, it's a Destiny destination. Bungie's not really rocking the boat here, at least based on what I saw. But I do want to highlight a few cool details I liked. The first is the Neomuna Civil News. This is a radio report that comes on over your comms and gives you small little news reports about the city while you explore. I found this to be a neat little bit of world building you get while running around to your next objective. The second is a small but meaningful addition to Neomuna's landing zone, a place called Strider's Gate. The Cloud Strider Nimbus hangs out there as the destination vendor, but more importantly, there is, wait for it, a vault and post box. Thank God. I cannot express how excited I am to have such a small quality of life addition, especially because, as I'll touch on later, having access to your vault in more locations might be more necessary now. In the campaign mission, we got our first look at fighting the Shadow Legion, a new version of the Cabal and the main force we'll be fighting in the expansion. From what we saw, this is still mainly the same Cabal enemy types we've been fighting for years now, so don't expect any radical gameplay changes here. However, some of them did have Strand shields. Enemy shield type has always played a key role in Destiny's combat rhythm, but because Stasis shields never really became a thing, I originally wasn't expecting Strand to get them either. It feels like Bungie really wants Strand to feel like a major part of the combat meta in all aspects in a way that Stasis kinda didn't get back when it first launched. And I'll be curious if we start seeing Strand shields in content outside of Lightfall-specific content. Compared to Stasis back in Beyond Light, one of the more exciting differences is how quickly Bungie lets you play with the new Strand subclass. In the mission, the Guardian comes across this Strand pillar, and when activated, it gives temporary access to the full Strand subclass to experience for a combat encounter. A huge complaint back in Beyond Light was that Stasis itself was locked away for most of the campaign, and you only got to mess around with it in small bits and pieces. This is meant to address that issue, but because it's just temporary, you still get the experience of unlocking and growing Strand over time. Bungie also said the unlock process won't be as arduous as it was with Stasis. As for Strand itself, it looks awesome. We got to see a Hunter in action, which is great for me, because I'm a Hunter main. Their new super, Silk Strike, has them swinging around a rope dart, throwing it either straight into enemies or swinging it in a 360-degree motion. The effect of Strand itself is really cool looking. The Cabal look like their physical form is unraveling until nothing is left whenever they are hit. The Hunter can also use the new grapple feature more often while the super is active, and seeing the Hunter zip around the battlefield really makes it sink in how Strand has the potential to completely change the feeling of combat with this newfound mobility. Neomuna itself is designed to take advantage of this. All the combat areas we saw were wide open city streets and rooftops, perfect for swinging around anywhere you want without much issue. Of course, this doesn't mean you'll be able to grapple all the time, as it does take up a grenade slot, which runs on cooldown. However, Neomuna is full of floating Strand grapple points you can use to swing around, and using these refunds your grenade energy. In short, you're going to be spending a lot more time in the air while exploring and fighting on Neomuna. Bungie has stated they want combat builds to become a large part of Destiny, which might be why some of the biggest buzz around Lightfall isn't its new location or subclass, but its system changes. A much requested feature from players, I am players, is the Loadout system. As Destiny has grown further and further into build crafting and leaning more heavily on its RPG systems, the lack of an in-game loadout system to save builds created for certain content types or subclasses has grown into a problem. For years, we've been forced to rely on third-party solutions like Destiny Item Manager. Bungie has previously talked about and detailed how the loadout system will work, but getting to see it in action has clarified a few important details. The most important being that, yes, loadouts will pull from your vault. There is also no limit to when and where you can use a loadout, with the exception of high-end content that uses the locked loadout modifier, such as Grandmaster Nightfalls. As long as you have the space in your inventory, you're good to go. However, the loadout system won't put stuff back into your vault, meaning you still have to rely on physically returning to a vault location or using Destiny Item Manager. I asked Bungie if there were concerns about situations where players are regularly switching loadouts and quickly filling up inventory space. For now, this is the way it is, but they said they will listen to community feedback if it becomes a major pain point for players. We also got a look at the new mod manager menu, which sounds like it will make the actual creation of your loadouts a lot easier. Currently, when creating a build, it can be a pain just to see what your Guardian has, with numerous clicking in and out of submenus. This is what the mod manager menu is supposed to fix. Now on a single screen, you can see what perks your weapons have and what mods are equipped on armor. It's designed to make it easy to screenshot and share your build with other players in the same way people share their transmog and shader setup. The final component we got to look at was Guardian ranks, although I'm still left with questions about it. Replacing the Triumphs menu is a new menu tab called The Journey. This new menu still has all your titles and triumphs, but now includes your Guardian rank. Guardian ranks are meant to create a better path for new players. While the game's new light introduction is a decent way to get players familiar with the very basics of gameplay, once you get into the tower, you are overloaded with dozens of vendors, campaign missions, ritual activities, and seasonal content. It is an overwhelming and off-putting experience. Now Guardian Ranks gives those players guidance by giving them a path they can follow that says, here, start with this. How well this will actually work remains to be seen, but I do appreciate Bungie wanting to make the game simpler to understand. For veteran players, Guardian Ranks are a new way to show off how good at the game you are. Your Guardian rank will now display above you and on your emblem card for everyone to see. I much prefer this over showing a player's seasonal pass rank, which was less of a, wow, that player is really skilled and has done a lot, and more, look how much time this person has spent grinding. Bungie said that ranks do change each season to account for new content. That means your rank does reset to some degree, but they've told us that it's fairly easy to get back up to the rank you previously had. Plus, old ranks are still saved for posterity. The big question is, how does this all feel in action? Many of the Guardian rank objectives we saw tend to overlap with what you already are doing for seals, so it seems like they are meant to work in tandem with many of the achievement chases already in the game, rather than being a whole new grind to pursue. It's always difficult to tell how these new abilities and systems will work out over a short 45-minute demo, and it's really going to take a good week or two of playing them ourselves to get a feel for everything. But that said, I'm really excited for how committed Bungie is to updating the game with some pretty major changes this late into the game's life. This is the penultimate chapter in Destiny's Light and Darkness saga, and they could have easily chosen to just focus on that and keep the game the same. But clearly Bungie has plans for a Destiny beyond the war between the Traveler and the Witness and wants to keep evolving the experience for players. Lightfall might be the beginning of the end for this storyline, but it's also starting to feel like a new era for Destiny as a video game. We'll find out if this holds true when we get our hands on Lightfall on the 28th.